Hello all and welcome to Talk Footy. In today's video I'm going to give my rating out of 10 for every Premier League team transfer window. The order I am using is from bottom to top of how I predicted the Premier League. So starting with West Brom, they get a 6. They have brought in Mateus Pereira and Grady Diangana, who are great signings after excelling when on loan last season. They were a bit hefty fees, Diangana 20 million and Pereira around 15. However, they are good signings and vital if they are going to score some goals. Talking on the attacking side of the field, I think they need a striker and that's why it's relatively low. 6 isn't bad, but I think if they had to get in a top finisher like an Ings or a Watkins, then they could really boost their chances up front. Because Robson Kanu and Austin are decent strikers, but not great strikers. They've also gotten the experienced Ivanovic, who of course did really well at Chelsea for several years and later on in his career with Zenit. They've also got Conor Gallagher on loan from Chelsea and David Button as a sub-keeper to Johnston. So overall a decent window, but they need to make some more top-class signings if they are going to stay up. So my previous video actually predicted Aston Villa to go down. However, after so far they have really impressed in this transfer window, I'm giving them a 10. I mean, starting off with Matty Cash, he's a good right back to replace El Mohammedi. El Mohammedi is a good player, but he is aging a bit now in his 30s. Emiliano Martinez, he has shown what he has done with Arsenal in the FA Cup and the Community Shield when he was replacing Leno due to his injury. And I think that's a really good signing. Traore from Lyon, okay, he hasn't been that prolific the past year or two, but he is a pacey winger and I think will do a better job than El Ghazi or Trezeguet. But the best of all has to be Grealish and Watkins. Watkins a top finisher, scoring 25 in the Championship last year. Expensive, 33 million. However, I'm sure he will repay Dean Smith's faith. But Grealish, I mean, signing a 5-year contract is like a new signing. I thought he'd leave and that's why I actually put them delegated. However, after Grealish signing, Watkins in, I think they've got to stay up. Next on to Fulham, I'm giving them a 7. The star signings are Robinson from Wigan, who was actually linked with Milan. They got him for a very good price, only 2 million. And also Areola, on loan from PSG. Of course, those players will bring experience, especially through the likes of Aina, who did well with Torino, Lemina, Harrison Reed, Knockaert. These are all decent signings and will bring some squad depth, but I don't know if it's enough if they are going to stay up. They're good signings, but not great signings, and that makes a difference in the Premier League. Crystal Palace actually just put them above the relegation zone in 17th. However, they get a 7. They've done a couple of good signings, they haven't let many people go, so that's good for them because they need squad depth. And the signing of Eze really excites me, a really good talent, technical player, scoring 14 and assisting 8 with QPR in the Championship last year. I think is a great signing. And Nathan Ferguson as well, from West Brom, a right back for free. So those are really good signings. And I think they will stay up pretty comfortably, maybe not 17. In 16th I put Brighton, and they are getting a 6, and I think Brighton 16th is a fair placing for them, and 6 is a fair rating out of 10. Veltman and Lallana for free are great signings. However, they aren't necessarily areas where they needed to strengthen. At the back, Webster and Dunk were doing a good job, but Veltman will add more experience, and Lallana, who is very injury prone, will add some technical ability in the centre of the park. However, I think they need a couple of wingers to complement Maupay. Izquierdo and Handbash are decent wingers, but they need to provide a bit more and give a bit more of attacking input if they are going to really challenge and go forward in the table rather than just sit around 16th, 15th spot. So West Ham get a 4, and this is the worst rating in the whole league, in my opinion. They haven't done enough. Souček is a good signing, okay, 15 million from Slavia Prague after doing well on loan. However, letting Diangana leave, that brought a lot of anger from the fans. Also the sort of false rumours, in the sense that they are mentioning Tarkowski and Benrahma, but the fans don't think that is going to happen, as it seems that they are running a bit low on funds. And it could be a tough season for West Ham, and there were some warning signs, like against Newcastle. They weren't great. Not only did they get beaten 2-0, but they were home and they were poor. So it isn't going to be the easiest of seasons, it seems. But David Moyes could turn it around if he makes a couple of good signings to complement a decent side, because Lanzini and Fornals and Antonio are good players, but they need to be complemented with some more quality. So Leeds get an eighth. I think they've been really good in the window. Rodrigo and Koch, they didn't do very well on their debuts, but I think on the course of the season they'll be great. Koch, well, obviously good young centre back from Freiburg, and Rodrigo, a bit of a hefty fee, 27 million from Valencia, but he's a Champions League quality player. Scored quite a few goals and gets a few assists. So those are good signings. Of course, getting Melier on a permanent basis now after doing well on loan last year. I think he's a good keeper. And also Helder Costa from Wolves is a good signing. They also haven't let many of their key players leave, so I think it's a really good window for Leeds. There have been a few incomings at Bramall Lane. We saw Ethan Ampadu from Chelsea, Max Lowe and Jayden Bogle all on the same day, and I think they're good signings, especially for squad depth, and that's why they get a 7. Especially Ramsdale is not Henderson's level, but he is a good keeper. It's true 18.5 million may be a bit too much, but I think overall Ramsey will do a good job between the sticks. And it's a decent window for Sheffield. They could get an out-and-out striker who scores week in, week out, because Billy Sharp and Mousse and not Robinson, McGoldrick, because Robinson is now actually at West Brom. They do combine to get 10 goals a season, but need that striker who can do it on his own and get those 15, 20 goals and not just get a combined 10, 12 goals a season between 3 strikers. You need it with one prolific striker who you can rely on week in, week out. So Southampton get a 5, and they have got Salisu from Valladolid, who's a good 21-year-old centre-back, and Kyle Walker-Peters, they've made him permanent. However, selling some star players like Cedric, they've sold him to Arsenal on a permanent basis now after his loan, and also Højbjerg. I think that's a really bad move from Hasenhüttl. He did want to leave and he did have a bit of a fallout, but he was the star centre mid. They've also let Lemina and Reed go, so they need to strengthen the middle of the park. And against Palace, they weren't great. That might come as a red flag to Hasenhüttl, and they do need to strengthen before the end of the window. Burnley get a 5. They didn't necessarily need to strengthen. The only signing they've made is Will Norris. I mean, that signing is only a sub-keeper to Nick Pope, so technically I could be giving them a 1 or a 2 out of 10. However, I don't think the window rating should just be based on signings, but also on who they've kept and recruitment. So they have kept all their star players, apart from Jeff Hendrick, and bench players like Hart and Lennon. So overall, I think a 5 is good, but they could look at some more creative players. Leicester, who I put in 10th, get a 6. And Castagna is a decent replacement for Chilwell, but again, it's not Chilwell's level. He actually did score on his debut, so that's good for them. And Under, they are very close to signing him, talented winger from Roma. So a decent window, all in all. However, they could have a look at possibly a wide player, not necessarily a winger, but somebody to sort of replace Albrighton and Demarai Gray. Newcastle, I'm tipping them for a good season, and I'm giving them a 9 on 10. I think getting Jeff Hendrick on a free is a real coup. He scored on his debut, of course. And Callum Wilson, of course, is the best of the bunch. Ryan Fraser for free and Jamal Lewis. These are all good signings, and with St. Maximan and Almiron, who are already decent players, if you're adding all these new signings and talented players, then you're surely making a good side. And I think Steve Bruce has the potential to lead Newcastle to maybe a Europa League push. Everton get a 9. It's been a fantastic window getting Allan, Doucouré and Rodriguez in midfield for all good reasonable prices. So credit to them, they've really done a good job. And I did put them in 8th, so I don't think they'll get into the top 4 or top 6, but I think they'll certainly push. And these signings are good ones. So credit to Ancelotti and the board of Everton. So Wolves get a 6, Fabio Silva being sort of linked into the next Ronaldo, 18-year-old from Portugal of course, 35 million, very expensive but good talent it seems. Marcel as well, a decent signing. However, they have let two star players leave in Doherty to Spurs and Jota to Liverpool. They have got Hoover in part exchange for the Jota deal. However, I think that Wolves um, shouldn't have really sold their star right back and Jota, because Jota really did have a good partnership with Jimenez up front. However, I think with Fabio Silva and Hoover in and Marcel, then they should get over the line and get a Europa League spot. However, they do have to be a bit careful. So Spurs get a 9. I think it's been a really good window. Gareth Bale obviously returning. Hart as a sub-keeper, of course, and Reguilon looks really good at left back, and Højbjerg in the centre of the park. Doherty, already mentioned earlier, at right back. So these are really good signings for Spurs. They haven't had the best start of the season, just scraping through to get to the next round of the Europa League and losing obviously to Everton. But if these new signings are given time, say some 5, 7, 8 weeks together, then I think they'll really gel together and really push and get maybe a Champions League spot. So Arsenal get an 8. I think Gabriel is a really good signing from Lille. Of course, he impressed on his debut against Fulham. Willian, of course, for free. And also, he had an impressive debut. Mari from Flamengo, they made him permanent, as well as Cedric Suarez from the Saints. And also Ceballos, they've got him in on loan from Real Madrid. But of course, I think the best on the wall is Aubameyang signing a new contract. I think that's what all the Arsenal fans wanted, and I think that he, with these new signings, will really push and get the Champions League place. That's why I put them in 4th, and I think they will get that spot. And I think they can even really push in the Europa League and the FA Cup, of course, competition which they always do well in. So I think Arsenal and Arsenal fans have a reason to really be excited and enthusiastic for the new season. So Man United get a 7. Donny van de Beek, of course, is their only signing for 40 million. They were looking at Sancho. It's still possible, but the fees seem to be a bit of a problem. And of course, Grealish has signed a new contract, so he's out of it's not an option anymore for United. Of course, in terms of outgoings, they've only let Sanchez go and Angel Gomez and Tahith Chong to Werder Bremen. So they've kept hold of their star players, gotten Van de Beek. It's not enough to push for the title, but I think they'll comfortably get the Champions League spot. So in 3rd, I did put Man City, and they are getting a 7. Ferran Torres, very lively winger, very pacey one, can dribble. I think that's what Guardiola wants from his wingers, so I think that's a good signing. Nathan Ake as well at the back will hope to sort out City's defence, of course linked with Koulibaly as well. So they do get Koulibaly. Arguably this rating could go up to 9 or even 10 on 10. But as of yet, it's a 7. And I think that selling Sane isn't the best, but of course I've got Torres in as a replacement. Of course, David Silva has left and Bravo, so they've lost a bit of experience. But I think, although I put them 3rd, and I did mention it in my predictions video, I would not be surprised if they win the title. So Liverpool, I did put them 2nd, but after the great business they've done over the past couple of days, getting in Thiago and Diogo Jota, then I think they actually will retain the title. To be fair, in the predictions video, I did say that if they get Thiago, they will win the title. Not that Chelsea haven't been great, of course, we'll talk about their signings in a minute. However, Liverpool have retained most of their star players, apart from selling Lovren and Alana as of yet, who of course were bench players, and getting in Tsimikas as a backup to Robertson. Thiago, of course, his quality. I mean, for him to leave from a Champions League winning side to Liverpool shows what he thinks of the club. And Diogo Jota is arguably, and probably not arguably, undoubtedly a better backup to for example, Shaqiri or Origi. Now on to who I predicted would be champions, Chelsea. Of course, the window has been superb, 10 on 10 for me. Werner, Ziyech, Havertz, Mendy from Rennes is extremely close. Malang Sarr, Thiago Silva, Ben Chilwell. The list is endless nearly. And I think they're strengthened in all areas. They needed a centre back, they needed a left back, they needed some they didn't actually necessarily need some creative players because Abraham and Mount, in my opinion, were fantastic last season, and it's a pity that they'll probably get reduced game time. However, Ziyech and Havertz, of course, are a notch ahead of them. Timo Werner, of course, up front. I'm sure he'll score a lot of goals. And, they could win the title, and my prediction could be right. However, it seems that Liverpool have strengthened quite a bit, and it will be a mammoth task for Chelsea to win it. However, Lampard has done a brilliant transfer window, and seems that possibly Rice could come in. If he comes in, I mean that will just top it all off really. They've only let Willian leave, so that's good for them. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry it went on a bit long, we've reached the 16-minute mark here. But I did want to go through all the signings, most of the signings in detail. Now obviously the ratings could vary if there is some more business towards the end of the window, because of course it ends on 5th October, so there is time. However, these are my ratings as of yet, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, slap a like, and if you're new, do subscribe to the channel. I highly appreciate that. If you disagree with things, some of my ratings, do mention it in the comments. And even if you, for example, have a video idea, do put them in the comments so I can improve the channel. Thank you very much, and that's all for today.